You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, this is interesting. I don't know exactly what's going on, but now I know we've got multiple entities now talking about this. All right? And anytime you have two people talking about one subject, something is going on. All right? Now, a lot of people may think Jason Whitlock, oh, he's got a YouTube channel. No, Jason Whitlock is a show enough 30-year journalist. All right? Kansas City Star, if I remember correctly. But I've been on his show. I've been asked to come on several times. I would love to go on there all the time. I just cannot do it. He's live when I am busy. So I'm not able to go on there regularly. Although, whenever I get a chance, and I'm free, yeah, I'd like to go on there. I would. And anyway, because I had a good time. But nonetheless, Jason Whitlock, journalist, actual, real guy that got in the nitty and gritty over the years, and then he ended up with ESPN on Pardon the Interruption, Speak for Yourself with Colin Cowherd, all these shows, right? And now he's over doing Fearless on Blaze TV, and he simulcasts that show, or that show's on YouTube as well. Well, something interesting is going on. Last night, in my reaction to the game, I threw this out there because Klay Thompson's father, now in case you don't know, Klay Thompson's father is Michael Thompson. He played for the Los Angeles Lakers. He won 2 world titles with the Lakers. And he is in media in Los Angeles. ESPN Los Angeles. He's also part of the broadcast team for the Lakers. And yesterday afternoon before the game, he put out, I'm hearing from a reliable source, the Fever don't want Caitlin no more. Sparks, go get her now. And it's like, wow, okay, that's pretty interesting. That somebody that has, he also, by the way, has a radio show out there. And it, like I said, it's on ESPN Los Angeles. So he puts this out there. Earlier this morning, Jason Whitlock, the Indiana Fever are planning to ship Caitlin Clark to the Los Angeles Sparks. I expect UCLA coach Corey Close to be the head coach of the Sparks. Wow. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, what is happening here? In fact, I just said, Jason, do not play with my emotions, man. What is going on? We all would like to know what is going on here. So I said, you know what? We're just going to do a reaction because this is from Jason Whitlock's show today, where he lays all of this out and he's done some digging. And this is interesting. And what I will say is, if the NBA is involved here, if Adam Silver is involved here, if you look at the NBA's history of getting biggest stars they can to LA, this makes all the sense in the world. Especially when you consider, and it's obvious in front of our eyeballs, that the Indiana Fever do not know how to handle the stardom of Caitlin Clark, the fandom that is the Caitlin Clark fandom. They can't deal with it. They can't handle it. I mean, they're having a PR nightmare. Everything else is everybody else's fault. No, it's not. It's on you guys. Y'all can hate channels like me all you want. I mean, imagine that you're upset that people are talking about your club. Can you imagine Philly, New York, LA, them a sports franchise reacting that way? They'd laugh them out of town. Let's listen to this.
I think the wheels are in motion. We're looking at Luka Doncic 2.0. The Dallas Mavericks moved on from Luka Doncic, sent him to the Los Angeles Lakers, sabotaged their franchise. The difference is that the Dallas Mavericks had Cooper Flagg coming on the way. They were drafting him, but
that was long since the theory. When that trade happened, and then all of a sudden the Dallas Mavericks got the number 1 pick, everybody was like, okay, now we understand. They moved Luka, and I mean, even LeBron acknowledged, look, you don't think the lottery was rigged? I end up in Cleveland, and I'm from Akron? Yeah. Everybody knows what happened there. It was a solid by Adam Silver.
Yeah, I think the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark marriage is coming to an end. I say that after watching last night's game. The thrill is clearly gone. They won. They beat the Atlanta Dream. But there was no joy in that. Not for the fans, not really for Caitlin Clark. And I know there's these moments. Look at, she fell into the arms of and chest bump with Stephanie White. It's over.
The manufactured chest bump that everybody's celebrating today.
They're trading Caitlin Clark to the Los Angeles Sparks. This decision to move Caitlin Clark to Los Angeles might have been made immediately after Caitlin Clark's rookie season. That this was always the plan, like Caitlin Clark is too big for the Indiana Pacers. Caitlin Clark is too big for a Mickey Mouse organization and an ownership group led by Herb Simon that's using the WNBA and the Indiana Fever as a charity. Once they figured that out after her rookie season, it's like, okay, how do we get Caitlin Clark to Los Angeles? How do
In case you guys don't know, Herb Simon and the Pacers own the Fever.
we get her to a major city so that we can justify this new CBA that's coming, so that we can build this league? Caitlin Clark is done in Los Angeles and in Indiana, and that's why I think they hired Stephanie White. There was no reason, and we'd have to go back and check the tapes, but I don't remember exactly what I said, but I do know at the end of Caitlin Clark's rookie season, I was like, hey, man, I'm good with Christy Sides. The second half of her rookie season, no problem with Christy Sides. They're playing an exciting form of basketball. Caitlin Clark is dominating, and they fired her. And the Indiana Fever, knowing that the league had made a decision that, hey, Caitlin Clark is too big of a deal to leave to this Mickey Mouse organization that's treating her and the franchise as a charity. And so I think they said, okay, who could we hire? Who could we bring in that if we have to trade Caitlin Clark, if we have to remove Caitlin Clark from our franchise, who could we bring in as head coach that would help us survive the backlash? Oh, there's a girl that grew up right here in Indiana, led Purdue to a national championship. It's got a halfway decent reputation as a head coach. And so if we just build around Stephanie White, she's got local Indiana ties, connections, a great history with Purdue, former assistant coach, former player with the Indiana Fever. We can survive. Stephanie White, Lynn Dunn as our senior advisor, she can help sell this. She was the former head coach at Purdue. She was coached the Fever to their WNBA title in 2012. Let's bring Lynn Dunn back in as senior advisor. She can help sell this. She has the credibility. And so that's what they've been doing. They have put themselves in position to jettison, trade, remove Caitlin Clark from the Indiana Fever roster with the false hope, the false belief of, yeah, and we'll survive this. With Stephanie White and Lynn Dunn and Kelly Kroskoff and Amber Cox and the army of lesbians we've surrounded Caitlin Clark with, we'll survive this. They have enough credibility. And so I want to, Luke.
Which is wild because nobody gives a shit about any of the people he named off. I guarantee you in Indianapolis, all they want to see is Caitlin Clark. If they think Stephanie White is going to save them from backlash, if they trade, and I've said, I thought Indiana was the right place for her to stay because of proximity to Iowa and Middle America and that fan base. But I said, you got to clean house and bring NBA people in there, right? NBA coaches. Bring in Larry Bird, bring in Mark Jackson, bring in Jason Kidd, bring in Bill Laimbeer, somebody. And quit blaming the fans when they're critical of you. But clearly, they can't handle that. That franchise, if they trade Caitlin Clark, they're toast. They're toast. You Thanos snap. Let's see, they were getting 4,500 fans a game before she showed up. You Thanos snap 13,000 fans out of existence in that stadium. It would, regardless of anything, it would be the dumbest move on planet Earth not to figure out how to properly handle Caitlin Clark as a product in Indiana. By the Indiana Fever. By the WNBA and the NBA, hell yeah. You want her in New York. You want her in LA. That globally especially, yeah, that you do.
Luke, you got to help me out. You suggest, I want to show you, there was a tweet the Indiana Fever put out last night of Caitlin Clark knocking down a three-pointer. Knocking down a three-pointer. It's an exciting play. It was one of the most exciting plays from last night. In this moment where things were going well for Caitlin Clark, they put it out, and I would say they put it out last night, and I would say like an hour ago, it had 140,000 views. A year ago, 2 years ago, that would have had 5 million views, and it would have been all over social media. The thrill is gone. There were empty seats last night. Angel Reese came to town with the Atlanta Dream on a heater. This was a big matchup. Angel Reese, the Atlanta Dream, Angel Reese's new team. They're playing well, outplaying the Fever.
How small did that game feel last night? We all know the juice around the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese against Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever. Flash forward, we get the Atlanta Dream, a much better team, and Angel Reese against Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever. That arena was dead as a doornail last night. With empty seats very obviously visible on TV.
Not sold out? Empty seats? In this arena, the thrill is gone. This is the highlight that the Indiana Fever tweeted out that, again, an hour ago had 140,000 views. The thrill is gone. They've killed Caitlin Clark in Indiana. They've set the stage. Why do you think Dan Dockich and all this smear campaign that's going on with Caitlin Clark, they've set the stage to trade her to the Los Angeles Sparks? Let me go into a bit more detail, and Charles and Maurice, be patient with me. I just want to set the stage for a conversation, and then we'll have about 30, 40 minutes to talk about it, and then I got to move on. JB will be here. There's some NBA final stuff we need to talk about with Scap and Dre. But let me just set the stage. Lynn Dunn, the 90-year-old former Purdue coach, former Indiana Fever coach, she's not 90, but she's an old woman. They rolled her out 2 days ago to appear on something called The Daily Coach, some small podcast. And she's out getting the messaging out on what they're about to do to Caitlin Clark. They got her on this podcast with 3 or 4 other people, and she's explaining about the tough decisions you have to make when moving on from a superstar. They're planning on trading Caitlin Clark. Let's start with, hold on, I want to make sure. Let's start with SOT 4. This is Lynn Dunn 2 days ago on the Daily Coach podcast.
In the corporate world, in the coaching world, in all the worlds, your culture is so important to the foundation of what you do. It's who you are. It's what you do. It's why you do everything. And it's constant.
Where the hell did Mark Trestman come from? Guys, if you don't know, he coached the Chicago Bears up here and was a CFL coach forever. You were talking about random. Mark Trestman? What?
Important that you are emphasizing it, that you're staying consistent, that you're communicating clearly what these values are, the expectations. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody feels valued. And I think that's one of the things leaders probably don't spend enough time with. What am I doing today to make sure everybody in my group, top to bottom, feel important, feel valued, feel like they're part of the team? Have I said thank you enough? Have I appreciated them enough? What am I doing to make everybody feel a part? I do want to say one thing, though. I thought of something when Carol was talking about letting her player go. I had to let a superstar go one time for academic reasons, and it was tough, and she couldn't stand me. I had to kick her off the team. She left the school.
Lynn Dunn, 2 days ago, on some podcast with 130 some odd subscribers, telling a story about having to let a superstar go and talking about culture and blah, blah, blah. We're being set up. They've made the decision. And Lynn Dunn may not be the bad guy in this deal, but I just want to let you know the decision has been made. The Indiana Fever are trading and moving on from Caitlin Clark, and they're getting the messaging out. I showed you yesterday, Lynn Dunn with her mouthpiece, Dan Dockage. We talked about that yesterday. Maurice and I on this show with her mouthpiece. Lynn Dunn out doing the work herself. Now I want to play you the host of that show. She says all this about kicking off a superstar and what she had to do in college and how the play, if we played the rest of the clip, how the superstar in college thanked her later for doing this. 20 years later, she returned to Lynn Dunn and said, I thank you. I would have never been the player. I would have never got my degree had you not kicked me off the team. Here's the host, Josh, following immediately in on what Lynn Dunn just said. Listen to Josh Chambers.
So many people watching this right now will benefit or will run into that problem where their superstar, their best player, does something or something occurs and they're faced with a hard question or decision. How do I treat this? And I think we've all been on teams at some point or will at some point where we start to almost have anxiety or fear that decision could have a negative impact for the team, and you start to weigh your moral responsibility to other players and then predict out future outcomes, and you almost can spiral from there. And so
they're talking clearly about Caitlin Clark without using her name. They're laying the groundwork, the argument, the foundation for, we just had to move on. Caitlin Clark was so toxic, it just doesn't work here. And we're all in on Stephanie White and this culture that we're building. And if I wasn't from Indianapolis, I'd have less of a problem with this. But I'm from Indianapolis, lifelong Indiana Pacer fan, became an Indiana Fever fan because of Caitlin Clark, and I loved having her in Indiana with me being an Indianapolis person. Loved it. But I may have to agree that Caitlin Clark in Los Angeles probably makes better sense for the entire league. and that maybe the league is doing what's in the best overall interest of everybody. Maybe the killing of Caitlin Clark is necessary, and maybe Caitlin Clark knows it and is in on it. But let me tell you why I think it's Los Angeles, because one, that's where you've heard me talk. We just talked about it with Myles Garrett. We talked about in basketball, they send the biggest stars, the biggest attractions to Los Angeles. This is the NBA runs the WNBA.
Yeah, right.
So
Correct.
we shouldn't be shocked here that, like, hey, Wilt Chamberlain ended up in Los Angeles. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar ended up in Los Angeles. Shaquille O'Neal ended up in Los Angeles. LeBron James ended up in Los Angeles. This is what the NBA does. Should we be shocked they're doing it with the WNBA? And they've already, in my mind, identified the coach for Caitlin Clark in Los Angeles. And it's not whoever the hell, I don't know who's coaching the Los Angeles Sparks now. Let's look it up. Someone tell it to me in my ear or whatever. But the new coach of the Los Angeles Sparks, I believe, will be a woman named Corey Close. Lynn Roberts? Is that what I just? Yeah, Lynn Roberts. Who the hell is he or she? But Corey Close just led UCLA to a national championship, is a bona fide coach, looks a little bit like Lisa Bluter, or cut from the same cloth as Lisa Bluter. Hell of a coach. Guess what podcast she was on yesterday? Talking about Caitlin Clark.
Okay. I'm going to stop it right there because we're at 22 minutes. Go over to Jason Whitlock's channel. Fearless. Subscribe. I know most of you are already, if you're subscribed to this channel, odds are you're subscribed to Jason's channel. I can see it on the analytics when I look at it for my channel. I can see what people that follow your channel, what they're also watching on other channels, right? And that's supposed to help me figure out, where my traffic's coming from, etc., and where he's getting traffic. He gets traffic from my channel, I'm sure. Nonetheless, he goes on. Corey Close was on a Just Women's Sports podcast. I saw the clip yesterday. Coach of UCLA, and she's talking very favorably about Caitlin Clark and how she believes Caitlin Clark should be handled as a superstar. And you listen to it and you're like, oh, yeah, she gets it. This coach gets it completely. And Whitlock is right about one thing, for sure. The WNBA would love to have Caitlin Clark in a bigger, different market. Now, I said the Houston Comets is interesting after this season because of Tillman Fertitta, because he would roll out the red carpet in Houston for a player and a star like Caitlin Clark. And yeah, he would build that franchise around her and get whoever Caitlin wanted as a coach in there. That's what Tillman Fertitta would do. Plus it would keep her in a, Caitlin Clark's got a ton of fans in Texas and Middle America, etc. I can tell you, she would be a gargantuan draw in Texas. But yeah, New York, LA makes a lot of sense. If this was to happen, you would assume Kelsey Plum probably would be in a deal back to the Fever. And again, if Stephanie White and Lynn Dunn and Amber Cox, any of them are asked about this, they're all going to deny. They're going to deny to the bitter end because there's going to be such a backlash and such a financial hit if they were to do this. It would be the biggest story in the history of the WNBA if Caitlin Clark gets traded. I also believe it would be a Babe Ruth kind of fuck up excuse my language, that like the Boston Red Sox made when they got when they got rid of Babe Ruth. You don't get rid of somebody like Caitlin Clark. You clean house. I would take a flamethrower through that entire organization before I would trade Caitlin Clark. You better believe that. You want to know why? Because you're messing with my money. Don't mess with my money. And Caitlin Clark is the money. She's the only money. Now, what the hell the Pacers organization would get promised by Adam Silver if they agreed to actually move Caitlin Clark is, I mean, I can hear what Whitlock's saying about Stephanie White being, having stardom there and blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares about Stephanie White, though. Except she's like public enemy number one at this point. I can't see how that can help them at all. And if the Fever are dumb enough to believe that does help them, I mean, I guess maybe there's the old WNBA fandom, that guard of folks. I guess they love agenda and they love everything Stephanie White stands for, and they can't stand anything that Caitlin Clark stands for. But that didn't do anything for the fans that were brought in to watch. Nothing. Those fans don't give a shit about Stephanie White. Okay. I mean, this is wild. And I wanted to do this reaction because I was like, wait a minute. So now we got two people talking about Caitlin Clark getting traded? And Michael Thompson saying he has a source, a reliable source, that told him the Fever are out on Caitlin Clark. And the writing looks like it's on the wall. Like I said in my video last night, she's regulated to the third act on this channel. I mean, on that team. She's the third act. She's the third option. You've successfully turned Caitlin Clark into a character actor. I mean, if this, I told Ben Daniel this morning, I said, if this was the Justice League, Caitlin Clark wouldn't be Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman. She'd be like Hawk Girl on the Indiana Fever. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not tuning in for Hawk Girl. I'm just not. I want to see Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman whip somebody's ass. Tell me what you think, Black and White Sports supporters. Make sure you hit subscribe. I figured the easiest way to do this was just all of us gather around like we're all around a campfire telling ghost stories about Caitlin Clark getting traded. This is pretty scary. That is pretty scary. And Whitlock may very well be on to something here. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.